because I still take care of my dad.
Oh, yeah.
Tushita is still closed.
Yeah.
I can work online as well from here, maybe better from here than from Tushita.
If Tushita is closed, then what Pema is doing there?
I don't know.
I'm the only hanging ghost, Geshe. Ghost in Tushita.
Singing and dancing.
Yeah. I have all the space.
When the internet connection is going down, Geshe, then Pamela has been training for doing Tibetan dance. So then she is our online program.
Oh, very good.
Geshe, we have been preparing to do also to screen share the prayers and the text, but sometimes with screen sharing, it always takes a few seconds to come on. So we leave it to Geshe if Geshe wants us to do that, but we are prepared in that way.
I think do that. It should be okay.
Yes, Geshe. Geshe, have you been traveling in India to teach to do something, or is everything still on lockdown? I'm not quite sure what's going on in Dharamshala.
No, it's more or less open, not lockdown. We are, our offices are fully operating. But yeah, I received one invitation from Goa University to teach there for 5 days.
Yes.
And that I'm going in the beginning of December, I'm going there for 5 days to give 4 days teaching and 1 day public talk.
So that is in person, obviously. Yeah.
That is in person. I'm going to Goa.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when is the library reopening? For the next season? Are you planning, Geshe-la?
For the physical classes, we may
Yes.
open next year, but not this year.
But as usual, after Losar next year in March?
That is what I hope. Let us see.
We see, yeah. Okay.
You never know. Right now, things look okay. Things are really slowly moving into the right direction, but people are crazy, so I don't know what they're going to do.
Yes.
Because very soon they'll forget everything and then they will relapse.
Yes.
And then continue their unchecked, unrestrained behavior. And that might worsen the situation. But hopefully because of this very rigorous vaccination that has been done, so I think it looks okay.
Yeah, let's hope.
Now India is open to all the other countries also, more than 90 countries. They can come and go.
Yeah, for 1 month, Geshe-la.
Yeah,
Only
yeah.
1 visa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, here in Europe, you're closing up again. We have the 4th wave now.
That's why I call this
Yeah.
disease or pandemic for the rich people.
Yes.
Yes, that is. I really look something like that because all those developed countries like America, Europe, they're much more hit hard, because
Yeah.
in the beginning people were saying, India, it will be disaster, and it almost become a disaster because of mismanagement, but not so much of the people, but because in the beginning, instead of focusing on India, they tried to be kind and distributed the vaccine to other countries. And when they started hitting, then they didn't have enough vaccine.
Yes.
And then they started focusing just on India, and they produce enough vaccine. Now it is under control, you see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine India with such a huge population and 80% illiteracy. If they have managed to do this so well in a way, why not in smaller developed countries, So I don't know what is happening. Sometimes maybe too much unnecessary care, maybe. I don't know.
Yes. Many factors, but it's very interesting.
And also it is true to say that people like the majority of the poor Indian people, because they have not only this pandemic, but they have been struggling throughout their life with all kind of diseases, malnutrition. So they have to struggle, and they are habituated with fighting with the diseases. So they have this resistance and capacity to tolerate. Whereas the richer people and the more developed countries, they had a relatively very luxurious life and pampered life, and they don't have that immune system and capacity to fight diseases, you see. So that I think is very noticeable with this pandemic.
Yes, Geshe. I will fall over when I come back to India. As soon as I touch Indian ground. Geshe-la, I think it might be time.
Yeah, it's time.
So maybe I welcome everybody. Can you hear us, everybody? Welcome back to Tushita. Thank you so much for joining. Good afternoon in India. Good morning in America. In Europe, it's midday. In Australia, I think you go to sleep already almost. So please stay with us. And we are so very honored to welcome Geshe Lhakdor back to Tushita. We hosted Geshe-la during the Days of Miracles, the Tibetan Losar New Year. And we are so happy. So we started the year with Geshe-la, and we are so happy to end our season with Geshe-la. Thank you so much, Geshe-la, for joining us again. And since Geshe-la is here already, I keep it short because I think everybody is familiar with Geshe-la, who is the director of the Tibetan Works on Archives, the Library of the Tibetan Works of Archives, for many, many years now, since 2005. And before that, Geshe-la was the translator of His Holiness the Dalai Lama for, I think, 16 years, and traveled with His Holiness all around the world. So Geshe-la is very familiar with the Indian mind, with the Western mind, and we are looking very much forward to Geshe-la's teaching. Thank you so much, Geshe-la.
Thank you.
Geshe-la, could I request you to lead us in the refuge prayer?
Sure.
Thank you so much, Geshe-la.
I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits, I create through listening to the Dharma. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I think one time is enough. So this is taking refuge and cultivation of bodhicitta. The way to, so shall I start now?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Yeah. So this verse is something that we should actually recite every day, because as a Buddhist we must take refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Because taking refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha is really the gateway to enter into Buddhism. And then to enter into the fold of Mahayana Buddhism, it is important to cultivate bodhicitta, the wish to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. So this is something that we should recite all the time and reflect on the meaning of this verse. Because by taking refuge, you protect yourself not to go into the wrong direction. And by taking or cultivating the bodhicitta, you help yourself not to fall into the lower vehicles or lower paths, right? So that's very, very important. And I welcome everybody who is listening to this talk. When I was asked to talk for a few days or teach for a few days, I suggested to use this text, the precious Garland of the Sublime Path, the oral instruction of Lord Gamboba, because of a number of reasons. One, for me personally, it looks like that I have some special karmic connection with Gamboba. I have that feeling with some teachers, ancient teachers and present-day teachers also somehow, For example, I feel very close to Shantideva, very close to Nagarjuna, Buddha, of course, Tsongkhapa, of course, a number of teachers, then Arya Deva, and then in the case of Gamboba, of course, I have very close feeling with Milarepa and Guru Pema Sambhava. I studied my Tibetan reading alphabet based on the text of Guru Pema Sambhava in a small cave in Tibet when I was maybe 5-6 years old. So, and then Milarepa, of course, is very famous teacher, practitioner, and probably there's nobody in Tibet who doesn't know Milarepa, at least the name. Then, of course, I read, I think, few times his biography. And recently, some years back, I started translating a shorter version of his biography, which I am now about to come to the end of the translation. So I have a lot of course, devotion to Milarepa. And then in the case of Gamboba, one of the first teachings that I received from His Holiness Dalai Lama after at that time I was not even his translator. I was about to become his translator. And before I decided to become his translator, his office invited me to come to Manali. We had some verbal exchanges about the possibilities of my becoming his translator, which I never even dreamt, but they suggested that I become his translator. And then at the suggestion of His Holiness, the office called me to come to Manali, where His Holiness was giving a teaching. And that teaching turned out to be the text by Gampopa, the jewel ornament of liberation, which is a very important Lamrim text in the Kajuba tradition. So I received that teaching and transmission from His Holiness. That was first teaching after I more or less joined his office. Then this particular teaching, the text, the precious Garland of Sublime Path, I received this teaching from His Holiness many, many years back. And then this is a very small text, just actually without the commentary, it's just few pages, very compact. And I had so much devotion to this text. And there are some other smaller texts I used to take with me when I travel and memorize some of these verses. So I memorized some of the verses, things like that. And then in the end of this text, Gampopa says that those of you who feel sorry that you did not meet me, if you read this text and understand the meaning, it's equal to your having met me. So that was, again, with that word, I also had a very special feeling, feeling of being blessed and things like that. So this is a text very close to my heart. That is one reason. The second reason is this text is almost like written for the modern people. It's not like long prose, unending long prose, not like that. It is, subdivided into 28 sections. And each section again subdivided into like 10 things that you should do, 10 things you should not do, 12 things you do this, 15 things you do this, things like so. It's a number, So very easy, very easy. So that way I felt that this may be very useful for many people. If you attend all the teachings, it's so good. Even if you attend one section, it is fine. So I thought this is very good. Now, in the case of Gampopa, of course, I don't have to go into detail. I'm sure you will know his story later on by reading his biography. There are a number of biographies of Gampopa, but Gampopa was a great teacher who lived at the time of Milarepa. Okay, and at an early age, he got married, and he had one son and one daughter, 2 children. But both the children and the wife, they all died very young. And it looks like he had an amazing family. And he was, of course, overpowered with sadness and grief. And from that, he was able to clearly see the limitation of the samsara, right? Then he wholeheartedly devoted his rest of life for Dharma practice. And then later on, he also met Milarepa, and Milarepa imparted him many teachings. And in fact, out of the many followers of Milarepa who were really like highly accomplished masters, who we can say siddhis who could fly in the space, a flock of siddhis flying in the space. So something like that. So in the case of Gampopa, he was counted as the topmost disciple of Milarepa. He's called the sun. There are 2 main disciples, sun and moon. So Milarepa is the sun, and Rechungpa is the moon. And Rechungpa is somebody who had spent much more longer time with Milarepa, but Gampopa is seen as the sun, right? And it is said that even when Gampopa was planning to meet Milarepa and coming towards his place, Milarepa already knew that such a great teacher is coming, and he already instructed his students to go and receive him. And then there's a story that when Gampopa heard this, then he started feeling that, okay, I must be a very special, fortunate person, He developed a little bit pride. And Milarepa eventually knew, immediately knew that Gambopa is developing some pride. Then he did not give him audience for 6 months. So it is only after waiting 6 months and having reduced his pride that he was able to meet. And of course, there is a very special karmic connection. And it's also said that Gambopa, in one of his former lives, he was the one who requested the Buddha to teach the Meditative Stabilization Sutra. Tingizdi Jabundo, very famous text, sutra by Buddha. So in one of his former lives, Gambopa is said to be the one who requested Buddha to give this teaching. So you can see how great this person is. So the rest, his miracle power, his compassion, his having studied the monastery, all this, I think you should read. And the text starts with paying tribute to the teacher, Namo Ratana Guru. Ratana, we use the word Sanskrit word Ratana, which means jewel, something that is very rare and very precious and very costly. So like that, this is a term that we use to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, 3 Ratanas. So similarly, Gambopa, the Guru, is of course a Ratana, a very special, very rare, great teacher. So you pay homage to Ratana Guru, or in fact, this is written by Gambopa, so he's paying respect to his teacher, maybe Milarepa and things like that. And the word Guru is a Sanskrit word, combination of 2 words, Gu and Ru. Gu means ignorance, and Ru means removing. So Guru is somebody who removes the ignorance of his students. What happened to the screen? I see the prayers. Okay. I did, but on the screen, I don't think they can see because it's so small. Can they see it? Okay.
We can enlarge a little bit, Geshe.
Okay. Otherwise,
Should I not share?
we already distributed the text, okay? So it should be okay.
Okay.
All
I
right.
put it in the chat, Geshe. I put the link in the chat again.
Oh, that's good. Okay. I would rather see the face of some people than the text when I'm teaching, because otherwise I'm teaching in darkness, So I
Sure, Geshe.
Okay. And then this particular text is also a text which combines the 2 prominent teachings of the Kadamba tradition and the Mahamudra teaching together. So it's Gambopa where the confluence of these 2 major traditions took place, right? And as you've written in the title of the text, the oral instructions of Lord Gambopa. This English word, oral instruction, need to be a little bit explained, because when we use the word Kagyupa, this oral instructions probably is supposed to be the translation of Kagyupa. So literally speaking, transmitting the word Ka, right? But here Ka is not only ordinary Ka, but the teaching of practice. So this lineage of Gambopa, which came from Marba, this is called Kagyu because the main focus is for the practice. And true to that lineage, this tradition, the great Kagyu tradition, has produced amazing practitioners like Milarepa, Marba himself, of course, his teachers, of course. Then we have Milarepa and Gambopa, amazing practitioners. Even to this day, in many places, there are many great practitioners. So that is a unique focus of the Kajuba. That's the meaning of Kajuba. Some people, instead of saying Kajuba, they say Karjuba. So Kar means white. So the lineage of the white. So this is used by somebody in terms of the white cloth that some of the Ngakwas in the Kaju tradition wear. So, but the true meaning is not Karjuba, but Kajuba. Ka, the teaching, the word, transmission of the word. So that I think you should understand. Then in the beginning, adorned with the pure conduct of the precious Kaju, you help us traverse the ocean of samsara, so terrifying and difficult to cross. Ocean of samsara, so terrifying and difficult to cross. We'll discuss later on. But for ordinary people like us, we don't see samsara as terrifying and difficult. We are enjoying in the samsara, you know. But it's only when you really understand the meaning of samsara, then you will be able to know how terrifying and how difficult it is to cross that samsara. Your streams of blessings is as inexhaustibly immense as the expanse of the great ocean, and your aspirations are vast, enduring, and spontaneously accomplished. All noble masters of the flawless practice lineage. That is the thing. That is what I'm talking about. So Kajiba basically means practice lineage. Okay. I bow before you, be my refuge and grant your blessing. I bow before you. See, for receiving any teaching, for gaining any positive knowledge, you must be humble. The reason that you bow down is that it's only when you become receptive, only when you reduce your arrogance, only when you open your mind, then you become a fit disciple, right? Instead of that, if you become a little bit, I told you already the story of Gambova, when we developed a little bit pride, the punishment that he got. So in our case also, you become a little bit arrogant and proud because of your name, because of your degree, or because of your wealth and things like that. Then not only you can't receive Dharma teaching properly, but in life also, you will have a lot of problems. As we have this English saying, pride goeth before a fall, right? So when you develop that pride, next time you will really fall, right? So pride, there are so many, there are 7 types of pride has been explained, right? So we should study that, understand that, and reduce that pride, because there's no reason to develop any pride. Confidence is different from pride. Confidence we must have that I can do, I can practice, I can achieve Buddhahood, I can develop bodhicitta. That kind of confidence must be there. But pride is a negative emotion. It will blind you, right? So that is not useful. So therefore, in order to reduce their pride, I bow before you. In India, we have a very beautiful tradition of everybody touching. When you respect elders and your teachers, you bow down and touch the feet of that great teacher, right? So this is a wonderful tradition. I bow before you. In India, we say, when we meet somebody, we say namaskar. So namaskar basically means I respect the God in you. Namaskar means I respect the God in you. So that even from the Buddhist viewpoint, I think it is very, very relevant. We don't accept a creator God, but we can bow down to other people because everybody has Buddha nature. Everybody has Buddha nature. And if that somebody is a well-versed, learned teacher, of course, there is a reason to bow down. If that other person is your parents or others who have been very kind to you, there is a reason to bow down. And even in the case of those others who are not kind to you, who don't know, who may be much kind of, who have much less knowledge than you, still they are worthy of respect. And in some cases, as His Holiness the Dalai Lama says, in some cases, if the learned, educated people, if they do something good, it is good, but it is not so surprising because they have the knowledge. Now, those illiterate people, despite their illiteracy, despite their poverty, when they try to do something good, they must be admired and respected. It's even more important to respect those people who are, poor and who are illiterate and uneducated and still trying their best. Right? This is really amazing. This is very important. And I remember very clearly once His Holiness Dalai Lama, when he was giving a teaching, he said, in one sense, we should bow down to the earthworms or insects, right? The helpless insects crawling, bow down and prostrate to them. Why? They are not intelligent. They don't have any education. They don't know Dharma. But they don't harm anybody. Their harm, even if they do some harm, it is negligible. Whereas in our case, as human beings, how much harm we do, how much manipulation, how much exploitation we carry on this earth. Because of desire and attachment, we have made almost a hell of thing on this earth. It's human beings. In the case of earthworm, it's wriggling and very helpless, but they produce this beautiful manure. So therefore now there are earthworm farms, again human beings, again unfortunately trying to exploit even the little thing that they have. So from the earthworm side, it is benefiting in that sense. So there's every reason to respect everybody. Then in the case of human beings, yes, we all have this wonderful intelligence, we have the Buddha nature, right? We can do, greater good things than other animals. So from that point of view, there is a reason to pay homage. So bow down. I bow before you. Be my refuge and grant your blessing. Be my refuge. So for a practitioner, your refuge is not your money that you have in the bank. Your refuge is not your husband and wife. Your refuge is not your name and reputation, because none of this is going to protect you at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, the one that will protect you is your inner qualities, especially positive inner qualities like compassion, loving kindness, bodhicitta, and so forth. And we, in fact, in Buddhism, we call these inner qualities as the inner guru, inner tutor. There is an external tutor and inner tutor. External tutor is the teacher from whom you receive teachings. Inner tutor is these inner qualities. You cannot have the external tutor is, of course, very important, but you cannot have these external tutors with you all the time. But if you develop these inner qualities, then that is really like having your teacher with you all the time, having your temple with you all the time, right? So at the end of the day, the one thing that is most important is your inner qualities, inner tutor. So therefore, I bow before you, be my refuge and grant your blessings. Now your teacher is your refuge in the sense that he can guide you, he show you this Dharma teaching through which you can develop these inner qualities. Having cherished then he is now making a promise to compose this text, which is the way of all the great Dharma teachers. When they compose the text, they make a promise, right? Making a promise means that I will definitely complete this text. It's not that you start few verses and then leave it unfinished, right? So they make a promise. They make a promise because the text they are composing is so important. The object to whom they are going to share this text are the sentient beings who have a lot of problems, sufferings, and your wish is to help them. Your motivation is to benefit them. So therefore they make a promise. I will do it. I'll do it. Yes, I'll do it. Definitely, I'll do it. And they make this promise very happily. Oh, wonderful. I'll do it. Through this way, I can help so many people. I can bring smile on the face of so many people. It's amazing. You see, that's why in Buddhism, one out of the six perfections, effort, making effort is so important. Making effort means delighting in what you do, enjoying what you do, just like a football player. If you enjoy, appreciate what you're doing, then there is no difficulty in absorbing that knowledge and engaging in meditation, in benefiting other people, right? Just like you're helping your very dear brother or very dear sister. When you're able to help your brother and sister, even if you have to undergo some hardship, you really enjoy it. You don't see that hardship because there is readiness from your side. This is a wonderful opportunity. I'm going to help my sister. I'm going to help my brother. You see? Now, if you are to help somebody who you never met, don't know, especially if you are to help your enemy, it will be an uphill task. Why should I help this fellow? I don't know him, don't know her, because there is no feeling of love. There's no feeling of compassion. So from that also, it clearly shows whether something is difficult or not is very much dependent upon your mental inclination. Very important point. So this point also shows that whether you will be happy or not is also very much dependent upon your mental outlook. If you cultivate a positive mental outlook, then everything looks good. The sun shines more brightly. People seem to be smiling. Everything looks good. Everything looks sparkling. But when your mood is off, then the bright sunshine is not the bright sunshine, but it's too hot. And people seem to be gossiping about you. So you develop this unnecessary like doubt and they create suspicion and create this unnecessary problem upon yourself, right? So therefore, it is important to develop this positive attitude. So I'm explaining why Gamboba is making this promise to compose the text. Having cherished the spoken advice of these Kagyu masters in my heart for so long. I mean, each of these great teachers, the greatness of these teachers are that if you read the lines spoken by them, having cherished the spoken advice of these Kajuba masters. Now, in our case, do we cherish the teachings of our teachers? Here he is saying that having cherished the spoken advice, right? In my heart for so long, you kept these great advices in your heart for so long and then practiced. And it is because of this, within a short time, they were able to achieve so much spiritual heights. I shall now write down this most treasured oral instruction. There is a story of the great famous, teacher, Sajapendita, visiting China. The Chinese emperor then asked him, who is the richest person in the Tibet today? Then Sajapendita spoke about the name of a practitioner who had no money at all. But he said, he spoke by that name and he said he is the richest person in Tibet today. Richest means, ordinarily when we say riches, we immediately think about how many cars such a person possesses, how big the building is, But the real richness is the inner richness, which thieves cannot steal, robbers cannot rob, will not become excessive baggage when you travel, when you fly. Right? Right? And this is true to nature, because when we came into this world, we came with nothing. What did you bring when you came into this world? Nothing. Forget about money. We didn't have even proper hair, just like me now. You see, this is the law of nature. When you came, you don't have hair. When you go, when you are about to go, then they will say, okay, now reduce your excess baggage, including your some of your physical appearances also. So when we go, at least when we came into this world, when we came with our body at least. But when we leave this world, this body also has to be left behind. This is the truth. So this being the case, why so much fuss in between? Why so much accumulation of wealth? Why you are not contented? Why you need to do all this running? If you look at this pollution that we see in the world today everywhere, it's a result of unchecked human greed. Unchecked human greed. If you go to some of these big malls or shopping plaza, the so-called shopping plaza and things like that, they are flooded with all kind of commodities. These markets and the malls and shops are flooded with all kind of commodities because there is a law of demand. People are saying, I want. I want iPhone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, now 13. So you want the best, the latest. And you have no idea why you want the latest. You will simply buy it as a sign of who you are. You are great. If you have a great car, great, So what I wanted to tell people, and this is something that you should, just as we brand external things, this shirt is branded, this phone is branded, this belongs to that highest company, things like that. So therefore everybody pay a lot of price, a lot of money to buy those things. Even it's not sure whether you want it or not, but because it's branded, you want to show that little tag over there. They're so stupid. So therefore now some people have started saying, I really admire it, and I have also started saying that the good qualities that we are encouraged to practice, like loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, these are branded by the Buddha. These are branded, I don't know whether I should use the word commodity. These are really, really, really branded things. And such a branded quality that you can get it if you make some genuine effort, but you don't need money to buy it. And you can have all these branded things which the Buddha had without having to pay anything. Only if you work hard, you can have it. Now, if you develop these branded inner qualities, pollution will be gone. As I was saying, that all these pollutions, environmental degradation, all this is happening because of unchecked greed. Everybody's running, the whole world is running today. Running for what? In ancient times, people used to walk and manages to do everything they want to do. Now, even when you fly, people are saying, oh, the flight is late, What are you trying to catch? Crazy, really crazy. Maybe I'm backward, probably. I'm not completely denying all this modern progress, but what I'm saying is the unchecked greed, the drawbacks of unchecked greed, that will destroy us. That is 100% sure. And the world leaders are encouraging people to run this mad race, and especially the race, nuclear arms race. Insanity is prevailing, right? So in order to stop such insanity, in order to reduce pollution, in order to do away with pandemics or endemics, whatever, the only solution is developing good inner qualities, loving kindness, compassion, contentment, things like that. And I was shocked recently when I saw the amount of pollution in New Delhi. In addition to this regular winter pollution that we have been seeing year after year, Still people were burning crackers, endless crackers, and the pollution they are seeing, everybody is, feeling, seeing, it's evident, still burning crackers. You can see the extent of human madness. We really have to have a very good education system of teaching the younger generation on a large scale to stop this insanity, because it is the coming generations who are going to suffer. They will have no water to drink, no proper air to breathe. I'm not telling a story. I'm not talking about mythology. It is something that you and I are witnessing today. But how come we are unable to do anything? The government is also government everywhere, not so strict on this because they want their children to play havoc. Unfortunate, really. So therefore, the purpose of listening to such teachings is not just achieving liberation, enlightenment, which is really, really hard, next to impossible, given our effort, our time. I'm not discouraging you, but that is the truth. But at the same time, this does not mean to say that if you don't achieve liberation and enlightenment, you're not going to get anything. You are going to get so many things. If you reduce your anger a little bit, if you reduce your jealousy a little bit, if you reduce your especially the negative emotion which has a predominant presence in you, if you're able to reduce that a little bit, you will be a happy person. Happiness is a choice. It's not granted by somebody in your hand. Buddha also cannot give you that happiness and choice. Peace. It is something you need to choose. We all say, I want happiness. I do not want suffering. We all say, I want the most durable happiness. There is our inborn yearning. But that inborn yearning will not be satisfied just by wishing, just by praying. You need to choose it. You need to live your life with certain decision that I want long-lasting happiness. I've been encouraging people to write on their wall or somewhere as a reminder, I want long-lasting happiness. We need to be reminded again and again. Then after that, you should think, what is it that will bring me long-lasting happiness? You need a friend, of course. You need money, of course. I'm not denying all this. But the real happiness, the long-lasting happiness, you cannot get from your friends, from your relatives. Especially the long-lasting happiness that you should get when you die. That, of course, very clear. You cannot get it from your friends and relatives who are all left behind when you die. So obviously, this long-lasting happiness has to be cultivated as a kind of habit, as a kind of quality in your mind. That means changing your mental attitude to the law of nature, to accept the law of nature. If I use a Buddhist term, then it's accepting the law of causality. Your things arise depending on causes and conditions. So if you don't want suffering, stop the causes and conditions that produce suffering. If you want happiness, identify the causes for happiness, conditions for happiness, and cultivate them. It's only by that way you can have happiness and you can reduce suffering. There's no other push button enlightenment. There is no shortcut. So therefore, do not cheat yourself. If you continue to run after immediate sense gratification, just run after sensual pleasures and completely forget your inner happiness, you are cheating yourself. Don't cheat yourself. Therefore, the Buddha said, self is the protector of the self, no one else can be the protector. Self is the enemy of the self, no one else can be the enemy. Again here, we hardly take any responsibility. When something unfortunate happens, we immediately point our finger to that person, this person, because of her, because of the climate, because of the river, because of the food and things like that. You hardly pay any attention to the role that you played, the target that you presented yourself that made you vulnerable. We don't think about it. So therefore, Instead of blaming the weather and blaming what is outside of you, you should be the charge. You should be fully in charge. You should be fully in charge. Whether you are a director of any company or institution or not, that is not important. What you should be, that you should be your own director. You should be your own CEO, which is very sensible. Whether you can become a good director, good CEO, other people, that's questionable because it's very much dependent on other people's behavior. You need to deal with many unruly people, undisciplined people. Their ways of thinking are different, their cultures are different. So how much you will be able to control them or help them or guide them is questionable, right? But you have every right to take care of yourself. You have every right to be your own boss, to be your director, to be your own CEO. Now, when we say director, CEO, leader, normally we say the leader must be good. The director must be good. The CEO must be good. So when I say I will become my own CEO, you are saying I'll become a good CEO, good director, good leader, which means a compassionate leader, compassionate CEO, a leader with wisdom, not a stupid one. So that is the meaning of Dharma. Dharma means not only change of course, but not only changing, but transforming from the negative to the positive, right? So therefore, when you become leader for yourself, your task is to reduce and eliminate and dethrone the negative emotions. Dethrone the negative emotions. I like to use this word repeatedly. Dethrone the negative emotions and enthrone the positive emotions. Enthrone the positive emotions. Put them on a high pedestal, the positive emotions. Make them king, make them leader. In your host of emotions, make the positive emotions as your leader, as your guide. And don't give entry to negative emotions. You should just say that enough is enough, go away, get lost. You stupid anger, you stupid jealousy, you stupid attachment, all you did was ruining my life, creating disharmony, disagreement, unhappiness. I know who you are now. So I am not going to entertain you anymore. There's no place for you to come and stay in the headquarters of my mind. Until now, we've allowed the self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude as the bosses in our mind. And nobody was challenging them. And self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude, these are like dictators. They are like dictators, right? And because of this, all the host of negative emotions got an opportunity to flourish and bring death and destruction everywhere, in your case and in the case of many other sentient beings, right? So therefore, in this whole world, we need a system of education where human beings are taught how to deal with their emotions, study the workings of the inner mind, and then separate between the negative and the positive. This has nothing to do with any particular religion, right? It is simply a kind of psychology, a kind of therapy, a kind of secular ethics, that you want happiness, therefore you want those emotions which will produce that happiness. You do not want suffering, therefore you want to get rid of those negative emotions. Very simple. So therefore, His Holiness the Dalai Lama is working so hard to make this secular ethics available throughout the world. And it is really making a great progress. The Emory University is doing a wonderful job, and they have now already produced a lot of books for the primary school, the middle school, and things like that. And the secular ethics curriculum is taught in many universities also, schools also. So please show more interest in those things. right? Religion, of course, is important for everybody, but when we say religion, sometimes, unfortunately, it becomes another dividing force. People in the name of religion become fundamentalist, they become fanatic. So we need a way of life, way of thinking, which is applicable to everybody as a human being, as a human being. So whether you use the word secular ethics or not, but we need something like a universal process of education where ethics is taught, compassion is taught, mindfulness is taught, right? That's important. That's important. Okay. So therefore, he says, having cherished the spoken advice of these Kagyu masters in my heart for so long, I shall now write down these most treasured oral instructions for those who are directly or indirectly devoted to me as precious Garland, as a precious Garland. This is the sublime path. Okay. First of all, the person who wishes to attain liberation and the omniscient state of Buddhahood should remember the 10 kinds of West. The Tibetan word we have is Phang Bichuchu. So I'm having difficulty find exact English word for this Tibetan word Phangba. Phangba has actually many meanings. Phangba means something that is very dear to your heart, something that you miss, something that you lose. So here the translators have used the word West. So anyway, so the 10 kinds of Westes are: this perfect human body, so difficult to find, is vested by engaging in unvirtuous evil deeds. The translator uses the word perfect, but the exact Tibetan word is this pure human being, human body, so difficult to find. It is a loss. It is a waste, whichever word you think is better. It's a waste or it is a loss if you use it for unvirtuous, negative deeds. Now, meaning that when we engage into the practice, first we need to recall this precious human life, having leisure, having freedom, and having facilities, leisure and endowment. 8 leisures and 10 endowments, which we have, which is very difficult to obtain. Of course, people might start thinking why this is so difficult. We have now over how many? 7 billion people, right? It's too much. So why this teacher is saying it's so difficult to obtain human life? Even long time before, there is a story of one Tibetan teacher giving teaching and talking about the reality of human life, and then somebody said, oh, the teacher doesn't know anything. We have so many. He has not visited China, because China is said to have a very big population even at that time. So now this should be understood in its correct perspective. Number one, if you compare the life of human being, the number of human beings to other insects, in case of like ants or other small insects, they're just in a small area, they're countless. So comparing to that, human life is not easy to get. Second, that this pure human life is said to be difficult to obtain because of great human intelligence. There is no other species of animals or birds and so forth in this planet which has such amazing human brain, such amazing brain and intelligence as the human beings have. So it is because of this capacity to analyze, to judge, to fathom, to plan, that this human life is said to be precious human life. Right? Primarily because of the capacity of the brain and the mind. Not so much about the body. The body itself, yes, it has some special features also, but there are many other animals and birds who are much more agile and much more, capable, much more powerful than us. Physically, tigers and lions are much more powerful than us. Monkeys are much more agile than us. Birds can fly, just spreading their wings and fly. We are not able to fly unless we use a machine or things like that, right? But in terms of human intelligence, we are very unique, very special. So this human intelligence, this amazing intelligence you have, instead of using this human intelligence for constructive purposes, if you use it for destructive purposes, then this is a great loss. Then your having found this precious human life has not served its purpose. Now, this point is really, really important to be noted. As I said earlier, as I hinted earlier, that much of the problem that we are seeing today in the world is primarily created by human beings, not by tigers and lions, not by other animals, because we have used our intelligence in the wrong side, destructive side. Right? So if you really want to become a good human being, then you must use this amazing human intelligence to bring peace, happiness, and harmony in this world. Then you're a real human being. I was told that even this English word human has a connotation of having some value. So where is our value now today? Everything has a value. Your money has a value. Your car has a value. Things you buy from the market has a value. But when it comes to the value of human being, nobody is talking. We are simply wasting our human life. So that's why he's saying that having found this genuine good human being, if you misuse it, instead of using it for positive, constructive purposes, if you use it for destructive purposes and use it for accumulating negative deeds, it's unfortunate. It is really like putting, contaminated foods in a pure pot. If the pot is really very, very pure, but inside if you put contaminated food, poison food, can't eat that food. Like that, right? So the real human being is one who develops loving kindness, who develops compassion, who extends his or her helping hand to those who are in need. As His Holiness the Dalai Lama says, if possible, help others as much as you can. If you can't help, at least refrain from harming them. Practice that. Even if you don't have time to know the length and breadth of the profound and vast teachings, but if you keep some of this essence of the Buddha's teaching in your heart and practice it, you will shine out. That is 100% sure. When you change your mental outlook, it's 100% sure you will feel better and you will be happier. So much of the suffering, much of the problem that we are undergoing today is our own making. Our own making. And your changing and transforming the mental attitude can bring miracles. Miracles not in the sense of be able to fly or make yourself disappear. Miracle means if you are able to reduce your anger, that's miracle. That's a real miracle. Right? That you can do if you make an effort, you can do. The only thing you need to do is how to stop. For example, if somebody says this is poison, would you like to drink? And if you're sure that is poison, then of course you will not drink because no, it is destructive. So similarly, through study and reflection, if you know the three poisons, ignorance, hatred, and attachment as poisons, as real poisons, then you will stop cultivating these negative emotions. right? It is not easy, of course, but not easy does not mean you cannot do it. It will take time, but you can do it. So in order to successfully achieve in your project of transforming and removing the negative emotions, you need to develop faith to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, or to whoever is your guru, and also seek the support of some of the sublime, Dharma protectors and things like that, right? And rely more on good spiritual friends, and don't associate so much with destructive, negative friends, and you can have it. The interesting thing with human mind is, in whatever area you make human mind get habituated, it will get habituated with it. That is the amazing thing with human mind. So therefore, the word meditation means making our mind, familiar with those positive qualities. That's the meaning of meditation. Meditation is not sitting in a corner, closing your eye and feel good for a short time, right? Meditation is not observing a just particular posture and sitting there and look good. No, it's not a feel good or look good practice. Meditation means getting habituated. Getting habituated in what? Right now, we are habituated with negative emotions, not so much with positive emotions. Therefore, we are suffering. So therefore, through Dharma practice, now we must make our mind habituated with the positive ways of life, positive ways of thinking, and you can get habituated. This is the amazing quality of the mind. If you make effort to get habituated, you can do. Simsunga Tisu. Tukchega, not chega, tukchega paduche, and dumba pardudirava. So I think I've already finished 1 hour. So ask some questions, another half an hour for questions if you have. If you don't have, I'll continue.
If you have any questions, you can raise your virtual hand. There's a little hand in Zoom, your little yellow hand. You can just raise it, and then we can easily find you and unmute you.
Okay.
I think most people are now familiar with Zoom.
Yes, there is already
After
one.
2 years.
There's already one yellow hand there.
Hello, thank you for teaching. I was wondering, you mentioned just a minute ago about needing faith in the 3 jewels and the teacher, and you mentioned something about Dharma protectors.
Yeah, Dharma protector means there are like higher beings, like some even in the level of being a bodhisattva, who made a commitment, promise to the Buddha that in the future they will always be helping, assisting, and protecting those who engage in good practice, Dharma practice. They had made such a commitment. So we believe that they are readily available. Okay. Now here you need to be a little bit careful with the so-called Dharma protector, but because we also have this controversial practice of Shungden, which has become a very controversial. So I'm not talking about the malevolent forces. I'm talking about the positive Dharma practitioners, protectors. Okay.
But what are you supposed to do? Pray to them, or you're asked their help?
Yeah, we are living that in a time of, we will actually, we'll talk about this. There is a point, that will come later. So we will talk about this later on. But just like, it's like, seeking help from good friends. Okay, among good friends, there are some who are ordinary, like you and me. Then there are others who are in the higher up circle, who have much better capacity, more power. So seeking their help. So it is something like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Nikki Kaur. Yes, please.
Hello. So you mentioned something about the 3 poisons.
Yeah.
So I noted down ignorance, attachment, and what is the third poison, and how do I protect myself?
Hatred.
Hatred. Okay. How do I gain the courage and strength to protect myself against them?
You need to simply see their destructiveness. You need to approach them with a fair mind. Be honest with these negative emotions also. So if you don't want to say they are negative at the very outset, don't say, but you just find out. And especially think about hatred. Now, in your case, I don't know whether you developed any hatred or not in the past, but certainly you have developed anger, which all of us do. So now see whether, based on your own experience, whether those angers have been more constructive or more destructive. Similarly, attachment, more constructive, more destructive. Ignorance, I think nobody will say it is constructive. It is definitely destructive. That's why we try to get all kind of education, right? So ignorance is the root cause of attachment and anger or hatred. Okay, so you need to see, for example, when you get angry or develop hatred, you become mad. So you want to become mad? Of course, no. When you become angry, you become ugly. You want to become ugly? Of course, no. Right? We use cosmetics and do makeups and to look nice and beautiful and handsome. Right? I'm not referring to you, but in general. but according to the Buddhist teaching, you can make yourself the most presentable person, handsome person, beautiful person, not just putting outside external cosmetics, but smile. When you have love and compassion in your heart, the way your eyes look different. And then, of course, there will be smile on your face, right? And then also, most importantly, it said the blood circulation takes much easier and smoother. It's there in Buddha's own word. And when the blood flows throughout your body, including your face, then your face also becomes radiant. आजकल दिखता है ना, these days we see people who looks like having no blood on their face, pale, yellow, and then when there is no proper flow of blood and proper flow of the energy or air, then of course when the blood vessel blocked, air passage blocked, then you get all kind of diseases. In order to get rid of all these diseases, also calmness of mind, compassionate mind is very, very important. Okay, so you need to find out whether they are useful to you, not useful to you. Yes, it is said in the teaching, but you need to see for yourself. Now, attachment means not just desire. I'm not, when I use the word attachment, I'm using because we need to use this English word, so it is not sure sometimes it's really conveying the correct meaning or not. But I'm not talking about desire. With the desire, there can be positive, there can be negative. I'm talking about attachment, right? Attachment, kind of obsession with unhealthy things, right? And it is because of this unchecked greed and attachment that the world is now destroying everything, environment, polluting air, water, because of unchecked greed. And it's not only Buddha. Mahatma Gandhi said there is enough for everybody's need, but not enough for everybody's greed. We are today trying to fulfill the greed, and which is not only destroying the external planet, but it is actually destroying ourselves, suffocating ourselves. I've seen people who live in very small rooms filled with all the junks because of greed. As simple as that. So we need to analyze whether these so-called negative emotions are really negative or they are necessary. Okay. Okay, now who is that? Suresh, or there are two people, Christina?
Christine, Geshe-la.
Okay, yeah. Christine, yeah.
Rashid Alek Geshe-la, and hello to everyone.
Okay, now Suresh is speaking. Okay.
I missed the word guru. You said guru is GU is ignorance. What is
Gu means ignorance.
and are you?
Ru.
Yeah,
Ru means remover.
remover. Okay, okay.
So guru is somebody who removes the ignorance of other people.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
Christian. Yeah. Unmute yourself. Unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear me, good. You mentioned that some books were being written for helping to guide the thoughts and attitudes of children. Could you say where to find them, please?
What?
You said that some books were being written to help guide the thoughts and attitudes of children. Can you say where to find them, please?
I don't remember having said that. First of all.
Right. Maybe I misunderstood.
Maybe.
I thought you said a university was busy writing.
Okay. Yeah. Secular ethics. Secular ethics.
Ah, secular ethics.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
That secular ethics curriculum
Mhm.
is mainly based on the initiative of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama has written a book called Beyond Religion.
Ah,
Okay.
right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then there's also another book called Art of Happiness, also by him.
Mhm.
So extracting from there, and also by using the expertise of many teachers who have been teaching ethics in school for many years, they have now, prepared this curriculum for primary school and middle school and, higher middle school and things like that. So if you contact Emory University in Atlanta, okay, in America, Atlanta,
Mhm.
if you simply type on the website, Emory University Secular Ethics Curriculum, you'll get all the information.
Lovely.
And
Okay.
then,
Thank you.
okay.
We just put some resources in the chat. Thank you for everybody contributing. Thank you.
Kumbila, there's a question in the chat from Amit. Would you like to read that?
Oh, go ahead, Pamela.
Okay. Geshe-la, there's a question from Amit. He is asking how to develop an attitude of not affecting if people doing or saying wrong to you.
You need to understand one thing. What is outside of you is almost impossible to control. Okay? So therefore, the great Indian teacher Shantideva, he said, with the fear that the sole of your feet will be pricked by thorns, with that fear, in order to stop the sole of your feet being pricked by thorns, if you try to cover the whole glove with leather, it is impossible. Very soon your leather will run out, right? It's impossible. And he says it is not only impossible, but it is not needed. So instead of trying to cover the whole surface of the glove with leather, if you cover the sole of your shoes with leather, this is equal to having covered the whole surface of the glove with leather. So similarly, if you try to stop everybody who is saying bad things about you, right? You'll never be able to do that. So instead of that, you change your attitude. Change your attitude in the sense, if somebody is saying nonsense about you, which you didn't do anything, wrong, and the people are talking about this, then there's no reason for you to get upset or angry. Let them say. Let them say. And if they're saying something which you really did, then you should actually thank them that I did this thing wrong and I was just remaining silent. Now people are saying, so I need to stop this. So in that sense, they're helping you, right? So in that sense, you should be grateful. So you need to, the most important thing is whatever criticisms, blames that come to you, you need to study that calmly and carefully. And there are many occasions where your remaining silence is the best answer. And in many other cases, you can respond, but with reason and calmness, not with anger, not with jealousy, not with hatred. Okay? Okay. Okay, next question.
Saheli, could you please unmute yourself?
Pranam Geshila.
Yeah, Pranam.
So I was really hesitating to ask this thing, but I thought better to ask. In the context of effort, you said it's easier to help those who are close to you, and you referred as your brother and sister, that it's easy to help them more than the person you really don't know. But in my short experience, I have seen that those who are really close to my life, they causes more harm, and those I have helped unconditionally without having any expectation of getting any favor or anything, they unnecessarily cause problem and harm. So after having this kind of incident repeatedly, I developed a little bit of fear of doing something for someone who is near to me or some friends. On the other hand, on the contrary, I received unconditional love and affection from some people who I really don't know at all. I'm not connected to me. They really help me and shows affection.
Yeah.
So the fear in last few years I have developed to after doing, like, when I about to help someone, I started asking myself whether I should, cause I have seen at the end they harm me unnecessarily.
Yeah.
So how can I get over of it, or anyone who have faced this kind of thing?
Yes. So you need to make a distinction between the general situation and the specific problems. So I was talking in general. In general, the brothers and sisters and relatives supposed to be having closer relationship, closer feeling. Family unit is said to be a cohesive unit. So therefore, normally, you feel like helping your brother, feel like helping your sister rather than helping strangers. That's in general. I think this is absolutely true. But then what you are saying is also correct in the sense, and this is in accordance with the Dharma teaching also. So therefore, the real Dharma practitioners, then they don't show so much special feeling to relatives and special disliking to enemies, because there's no certainty. There's no certainty. Not only there's no certainty, but if you are true Dharma practitioner, you don't have much time to, go on running and helping the needs of your relatives, friends, and so much. And then, as you rightly mentioned, the friends and relatives, they think that they have a right to demand from you. So however amount of help that you extend, they always demand more and more. You see, just like your children, they will always ask you more and more. So that is the result of your past lives, karmic connection. So it's something difficult to avoid, but that is true. So that is the case. But so therefore, in general, in human relationship, whether it is with strangers or whether it's your relatives, as a practitioner, you should, as much as possible, maintain some distance right from the beginning. Okay? Because if you lose your boundary, then they will think that they can easily, anytime they want, they can cross the boundary and take advantage of you. Okay? So therefore, it is important to not to lose love and compassion, but if you want to maintain that connection, you should maintain that connection. If it is impossible to maintain the connection, you don't have to force yourself. Okay, you have every right to not to develop negative emotion, but you have every right to stop that connection, because in order to help others, you need to help yourself first, right? It's not a question of selfishness. Okay, Buddhist teaching never say that you should unnecessarily. There is a teaching saying you should sacrifice for the benefit of others. That is in a proper sense. But it is not saying that you should unnecessarily sacrifice yourself for stupid things, right? So therefore, you should know the boundary. At the end of the day, as I said, self is the protector of the self. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one is Lan or Len. Could you please unmute yourself?
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. My question is, I often feel lazy and not motivated in practicing Dharma. Should I see my laziness and lack of motivation as a negative emotion or just a lack of faith?
Not so clear.
Yeah. Did you don't hear me, or you don't want me to repeat the question?
Yeah, can you repeat?
Okay. When I feel lazy
Yeah.
and not motivated in
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
meditation or practicing Dharma,
Yeah.
is the laziness a negative emotion, or is it a lack of faith?
It may be many other things. It may be laziness. It may be lack of faith. It may be your, tendency not only to Dharma but to many things. Everybody has different, tendencies. So it may be many things. But what is important is don't push yourself. Okay, don't push yourself even to Dharma practice if you're not ready. You do Dharma practice when you feel like doing it, when you enjoy it. And then gradually you will pick up a habit of doing it very easily. Okay, but right in the beginning, if you're reluctant and still if you force yourself, then it is not going to help you. Therefore, the meditation teachers, they say that when you first start doing the meditation, then don't force yourself. Meditate only for 5 minutes. And then when you do 5 minutes meditation, if you're getting backache and pain in the knee, then don't force yourself. Stop that meditation and enjoy whatever you want to do. And next time you will feel like coming back. But if you force yourself, the next time when you see the meditation seat, you feel like vomiting. Okay. Okay. Any yellow man? Any yellow man? When we cross the road, we have this signals, green man and red man. Here we have yellow hand. Yes, Suresh ji.
Suresh, please unmute yourself.
I'm not really sure whether I should ask this question.
Yeah, speak a little bit louder.
I'm not sure whether I should ask this question. Attachment towards virtuous things. How is it seen as?
Not so clear. What?
Attachment towards the virtuous things. Can you hear me?
Good question. Good question. Now, attachment towards virtuous thing means if you see these good qualities as having inherent independent existence, then that is wrong. That attachment is wrong. Attachment even to virtuous things is wrong. Attachment even to Buddha is wrong. Okay, because you get obsessed with it. Attachment to Dharma is also wrong. Okay, you should respect Dharma, you should like Dharma, but don't develop attachment. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Because when you develop attachment, you are trying to hold it. You try to grasp on it. It is just like your relationship with fire, you know. With fire, you respect it, you try to get the warmth of the fire, but if you try to hold it, it will burn you. Right? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next is Elisheva. I'm so sorry. I'm sure I mispronounced. Elisheva, could you please?
Yes. You can call me Ellie. It's okay. Thank you very much for your teaching. I want to ask, I'm from Israel, from Tel Aviv, and this city now is reun the buildings, like destroying the buildings and build them again, and it's a question of a lot of money.
Yes.
And you was talking about greeting. So by coincidence, I found myself in the middle of a situation.
Yes.
I made a phone, and from this moment, it continue following, and now there maybe will be a big project with a lot of money, and I'm running it. Usually, I'm a very simple woman, like to go to the beach and work a little bit and live a very simple life. And now I'm in the middle of a situation like $50 million, $100 million of building. So I don't know what to do with it, because everybody said you should continue because you are doing it good, because I'm coming from a good heart and I'm trying that everyone will be okay with it. I'm not looking about the money, but still it is pushing me to a place where I'm not used to be.
Yes. So this is a complicated question, but sometimes because of the force of change, some of these changes are unstoppable. So change is not necessarily good, not necessarily bad. And sometimes unless we adapt to the change, we die a natural death. This is what we have read in this story of, evolution, human evolution, the survival of the fittest. Those who are able to adapt, they survive. Those who are unable to adapt, they die. So sometimes, the situation may be such that you can't change it just, by one person, you can't change it. So in that way, you need to, adapt to the situation and take the best out of the given situation. Because otherwise you can't change the situation and then also mentally feel unhappy, then it is unnecessary problem, you see. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Geshe, I don't see any yellow man anymore right now.
Yeah. So we have never
Geshe-la,
finished the time also. Yeah.
Geshe-la has given us many material for thought. Yes, a lot. Thank you so much, Geshe-la. Very, very kind.
Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe-la. We have just 2 small prayers to finish, Geshe-la. May the precious Supreme Bodhicitta, not yet born, arise. May that arisen not decline, but increase more and more. In a land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Thank you so much, Geshe-la,
Thank you,
for
everyone.
teaching us today and giving us so much food for thought. And we see Geshe-la tomorrow again, same time. And everybody else, thank you so much for joining us. And see you again tomorrow, 5:30 Indian time.
So
Thank
the
you so much.
Zoom ID and password is same, right?
Same, Geshe-la. Yes, every day, same. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Geshe-la. Bye-bye. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Have a nice Saturday and a good Sunday morning. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.